Hi there, I'm Wayne Metter, and I'm passionate about advancing the sustainability of the human race. Like many, I know something's radical has got to be done, and it's time to do it differently and start the conversation in a new way. It's time to change the way we think and collaborate together. But my channel, it's just me and my life, and I'm starting to share what I've learned with you. And on this show, I'm cycling through North America on a trek for change. Boy, I'm tired. I had a good night last night. I'd say I slept about 6.5 hours, and it's, well, you can see it's daylight out there. It's about 6:15. I don't want to go, but it's time to go. I've got everything packed up. I rearranged the weight, so now I have all my clothes up in the front of the bike, up in these panniers here. And the reason I chose to do that is I think that the clothes per volume is quite a bit lighter weight than the food. And so I moved the food back to one of these panniers over here. And it seems like the food and the electronics, which I have the electronics in one side, but it seems like the food and the electronics weigh about the same. So I think that's about right for this setup. So now I need to go get some food. And I've got some leftovers from yesterday. And thank you to all who've hosted me. I was given some blueberries to take with me today. And here's some leftovers. I'm gonna eat this for breakfast, or at least for part of my breakfast. That's the wrong leftovers. Here. There we go. I know this isn't sustainable, guys. Don't get on me. But hey, look, this is good. How do I do this? There we go. The state road that I'm on is State Road 278, headed into Cullman, and it's so busy. I've just had 4 miles since coming out of Sneed. You can see it over there. Traffic. Those semis are horrible. It's definitely, in all of my training, all of my bike riding, this road is definitely the worst road that I have ever rode on. And I'm sure it's coming more, more roads are gonna come that are gonna be worse than this one. But I had to take a little break from the highway, and I'm taking this gravel road. Even though it's slower, it's safer, and it gets me off of the main road for about 1 mile. Whew. I'm wore out, and I'm only 4 miles in. It's about 90 degrees. The sun's behind that cloud bank, and it's getting ready to come out. I'm hot. So get this, I just got off the phone with another pastor. His name is Steve as well. And the pastor at the church I stayed at last night, he had called ahead to the next town in Cullman and made some connections. And somehow set it up to where I'm gonna meet up with the next pastor up there. And that pastor just called me. He said he's got a storage facility that they're putting solar energy on. It's a climate-controlled storage facility, and they're trying to run it on alternative energy. So I'm excited about that. We'll include that in a video. And also, he said he's got man, these semis are crazy on 278. But he said he's got an RV, that he's got a generator there, and it'll be a place for me to stay if I need it. So I'm gonna go up there, and I should be up to Cullman a little before noon. That hill that I just came down, not bad at all. Kind of fun. And the shoulder, there's so much room here.
No issues at all with that. The problem with that hill is you see how the trees just, the way it's set up with the trees on both sides, the wind comes through the valley, comes up that hill, and I was pedaling just to get down the hill. And that's what I've been battling with today. I haven't got a lot of action video for you for two reasons. One, I don't have a GoPro that was supposed to be sponsored. It was supposed to be here 2 months ago and it's still not here. Second of all, I've been working my tail off and I'm tired. My back really hurts today in a way that it's never hurt before, sending pain down my legs. So I've got to get to where I'm going and get straightened out. Maybe get horizontal if I can. Should have another 5 miles or so to go. All right, I just got off the phone with the pastor Stephen up here in Cullman, and he's going to meet me for lunch up here at an Italian restaurant, and then we'll figure out what to do for dinner. But it looks like there's a storm coming in, and I'm ready to be done for the day. Here, take a look at that. So I imagine that's where some of this wind is coming from. And then once I figure out what I'm doing and where I'm going to be at, I'll share a little bit more. Okay, so here's what's happened. I got into Cullman. I met up with Stephen. Come to find out, he's not a pastor, but he's, affiliated with a pretty cool church. He introduced me to another guy that we ate lunch with, and this guy has, I think his name is Barrett, and he has already rode across country before. So I'm gonna head over to Barrett's house pretty soon and go shower. And I'm staying in Stephen's RV tonight, and it has air conditioning, so yay. Thank you, Stephen. But I'm just excited because, I was gonna camp, and I'm fine with camping. Don't have a problem with it at all, but we're looking to do this, this whole production, this whole video series as sustainable as possible. And that also means us using a sustainable business model and spending money appropriately and building community. And that's exactly what we've been doing. So I've been getting to know people as I move down the trek path, and as I get to know them, build relationships with them, and continue to collaborate and build community. So you might note that if I was camping, I would have been hit pretty hard with one of those things that just came through earlier. And if you look all around, there's puddles and there was rivers of water coming across this parking lot. Secondly, this is Stephen's climate controlled storage facility, and he is building a solar system to hopefully run 100% of the energy that they need to keep the climate controlled in this building. And I'll take you around the back side of the building here, where they're starting to put the system in. Now you're not going to see much because they've been having some issues with the city. And in other words, they are blocking the ability for him to put in the solar system. And I don't know if it's the city, but it's maybe a power cooperative of sorts, but you can see the poles here behind me. These poles are what's going to be holding the solar panels, and this is the rack system here. And in the crates over there are the panels. And they could have had this system in. They were supposed to have this system in by February, and they haven't been able to. So my question for the audience here is, have you had a situation like this? Has this happened to you in your municipality? If so, I'd like to hear about it, what's happened, and get to know what that story is like. If you haven't had an issue and you wanted to do this thing on a commercial scale in the past, and you haven't had an issue, I'd like to hear that story as well. So let's hear the success stories. Now, I just came inside the facility, and another nice thing about it is I'm able to keep the bike in here out of the rain one more night. And not that I can't cover it, and I have everything I need for that, but this is a great opportunity for me to fine-tune some of the inner workings of the bike, go back through it again, make sure the tires are ready to roll, oil the chain again, clean it up, and make any adjustments that need to be made. So I'm going to be doing that tonight, and resting, really. Today I was just fried and burnt out. My legs are hurting, and I probably should rest for a day, but I'm only 4 days into it, so I ought to be able to do at least one more day before I take a break. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to continue to share with you. Oh, I forgot to tell you one more thing. So Stephen had to run to his house, and he said over by his house there was his neighbor owns a steel manufacturing facility, or a steel welding shop, but it's a large scale commercial shop. And we hey, it's starting to rain again. I'm gonna get back inside. Yeah, let's get in the camper. I don't want to get stuck in that building. I like to stay in here. All right. Guess this isn't a camper, it's an RV. Just used to that. But Steven's neighbor owns this shop, and they have put in a lot of solar. What he was saying was they've had some pretty big challenges, I think, with the TVA, and then there's another board that they have to deal with. But their problem is that they get billed based on their peak use, and they're a welding shop, and if they have too many welders going, then their peak use spikes really high, which causes the rest of their bill, because the rest of their bill's able to be supplemented mainly with solar, the rest of their bill, even though they're using a very small amount, they're getting billed at the peak use rate. So they're trying to figure out how to use the batteries that they have in the battery bank to, counter that peak use, and they've got another remedy that they're working on as well. So these are challenges, though, that make it extremely hard for businesses to work or know how to work with the government entities and the governing boards, etc., who are over these kinds of decisions. And what I don't understand is why. It seems like there's I've heard multiple stories before about things like this, and it seems like there's a lot of disjointed types of things going on, which cause a problem, and there can't be progress when there's backbiting and when there's headbutting, and it just stifles all creativity and progress and innovation. So I'd like to know, again, from you, do you have challenges like this in your area? In North Alabama, we do. I know in East Alabama, we do. I know that the Alabama Power Board, I believe it's the Alabama Power Board or one of the other boards, I recorded a video, I'll put a link to it, but there is another board here who's supposed to review the rates. Well, the rates haven't been reviewed since the early 80s. And what do you know? Who's on the power board? Executives at the power companies. So I don't know all of the details, but I'm starting to piece things together. Tomorrow, I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be staying again, because it's quite a few miles to the National Forest that I'd like to stay in. But if I stop short of the national forest, then I'll need to go through it and onto the... I wouldn't have a place to stay again the following night. But if I push myself hard tomorrow, I could make it to the national forest. I think it's about 46 miles. But I don't know if I can do that right now because I'm just really having a lot of back pain, and I don't know. I think maybe it's time for me to get to just not push it the next day, since the last 2 days were 35-mile days, which that's up there for me. I mean, I've been training at 30 miles, but I haven't did 3 or 4 consecutive 30-mile days at this point. And I'm looking to build that as I go over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I don't know yet where I'm going to end up, but I do have internet in the office in here, and I'm going to run in there and do some checking. It's a beautiful morning this morning. I'm up. It's about 6 o'clock, and I had a great rest in the RV. The bike's back there here in front of the storage. So hey, if you live in this area of Cullman, come check out In-N-Out self-storage. But I am ready to roll, and look how foggy it is. Isn't it beautiful out? So because it's foggy, I'm going to turn my flashers on. The headlamp will flash, the tail light will flash, and we'll be ready to roll. This is good. I just stopped at Hardee's and I got one of their monster burgers, or monster breakfast sandwiches. And man, it's good. I don't eat fast food, so it's kind of a rare thing for me. But I thought, since I'm headed out of Cullman, I'm going to be staying in a national forest tonight, I'll go ahead and splurge a little bit and get some food for breakfast. And I got another biscuit here if I need to eat that for lunch. And I've got plenty of food that I'm packing. This is how we roll. I just came off of the state road, the 4-lane divided highway. Just got out of Cullman, and I'm ready to head up this county road right here. I think this is the last of the state roads for a while. Today we're going into the national forest, and I wouldn't expect it to be too busy. So I think this is going to be a fun ride today, even though I'm about 5 miles into 37 miles, so it's a big one for me because it's the most I've done consecutively with this much weight, but we'll make it. So after I got done filming there for a bit, I was just putting the phone down, and in pulls a guy and hands me a thing of water, and I'm almost through it, but he's into mountain biking. He lives over by the National Forest, and it's not on my path, but if I get stuck in some major storms or need some help, he said, give me a call. So it's just incredible to be able to meet these random people that show kindness and love, and it puts a faith in humanity back in you if you've lost it. I haven't lost it, but I'll tell you, this is a cool experience. You gotta check out this bamboo grove. Left the gas station behind me. I picked up some extra food, basically got some sardines, some beef jerky, a candy bar, because I needed energy, even though it's a quick energy. And then I also got some shaving cream. I'm going to stay in the Bankhead National Forest tonight, maybe a second night in a row if I think my body needs it, which I'm thinking it might. And then, so I got some shaving cream so I can do that while I'm there. And also picked up some toilet paper because I think I'm gonna need it. That said, I've got a few more miles to go and it's starting to sprinkle. It was just raining while I was in the gas station. and we're just going to ride through it and get there and set up and be ready to go.